Well, here we are. We've done four, I think it's four now, weekly podcasts for River Thoughts that are slightly longer. We've done three of them on the topic of hope, and we've done one on the topic of food, with another one to follow, we think. And this time, I'd love to talk a little bit about craft, the skills we have, the ability to do things, and what God thinks about that, and whether He's in any way sort of responsible, come calling us to do certain things at certain times, and why this might be important. So that's the little bit of a thread for today's one. And I want to chat to Peter about this because Peter is skillful and he's definitely crafty, but he's certainly got definite abilities. And as I bring him in on this, I kind of want to talk about a whole range of things under one heading of craft. I mean, even architecture, even engineering, computer wizardry. You talked about being a wizard earlier on.
Yeah.
And but just generally about the things that we do, and how much kudos we put on them, because I think some people see certain activities as, in inverted commas, better than others, but I'm not sure God thinks that. So, for example, in Camborne, Peter, I expect you can think of particular buildings that you think, cool, they would have been brilliant 100 years ago and they still look quite good now. Don't know if you've ever thought that. Have you ever thought that? Going down Trelawarren Street or something?
No.
No,
I've thought about
mind
Richard Trevithick on Trevithick Day.
That's what I was next going to come to.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Yeah, there's a statue in there outside on the corner there by the roundabout by the station.
Yeah.
And, he was an amazing engineer. In fact, if I've got it right, he was the first one to come up with the steam locomotive
type thing.
Yeah, before Stevenson. That's right, isn't it?
Okay, yeah.
So, obviously skillful people who built those buildings, but are they kind of God-given? Are those skills used the way God would want them to be? We see lots of church buildings dotted around, don't we, Peter?
Yeah.
Around, all over the place. Often, if you go on a long car journey, you'd see church steeples sticking up in different places. Prominently displaying churches in the old days, certainly. I don't know if people notice them so much now because there's lots of other tall buildings. So I want to mention all these skills. Do you see yourself as skillful, Peter?
Yeah, I think a lot of my skills go unnoticed.
Never.
I think because you can have more obvious skills, like if you're good at football, that's like a skill, and then you watch them play football, so they get appreciated, particularly if they score goals. But my skills, for example, to do technology, I know things are going well when I make a website using my skills and no one notices it going wrong. It's seamless. So I've put hard work into making something that goes unnoticed, but in a little bit of a way.
So do you feel undervalued?
No.
Well, if people are not, in your view, noticing, or, how would you see it? So you don't feel undervalued. So, because, why not?
I don't really credit or think about myself with value. I think more about the product. I care about the website working, and that goes unnoticed. But by implication, that could be that I'm going unnoticed.
Is that good or bad? It might be you're not supposed to be.
I know there's a certain amount of humility, but I think there is something about leaning into things you're good at and trying to help other people. So I get more satisfaction creating these videos than I do filming myself and putting it on my own channel because
Okay.
it involves other
People. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't feel undervalued, but okay, let's just come at this a different way, Peter. Do you feel that you've developed your skills, and even if they're not valued, it's a Peter Newing construction, or do you feel that in some way you've been given the skills that you have?
I think the skills that I have now sort of came to me not through my own doing. I'll explain that.
Go on.
What I mean is I'm traditionally at school I was good at maths and I wasn't into computers, but the first job I ever got was an apprenticeship with computers, so that led me down the road of computers. So it wasn't me that set up that path towards the skills that I have now. So for those of you who aren't aware, my skills are largely technical. Yeah, whether I value myself or people value me is not of my concern. I like I think I like trying to satisfy my own desire to get something working, and I'm not doing it for other people in some regard.
Which is good, surely.
Yeah, like for example, I've created a game. I did that for me. No one plays it, but
that doesn't mean it's not good. It might just be that not that the people who would like playing that game haven't found it yet, but that's another matter. But do you feel that, you see, it's interesting you say, well, I can see that my skills are technical, and yet I can see, even in us doing these videos and in my kind of connection with you through this group of guys who meet down a pub once a week and so on, that it's also the input you give as a person to a community. And some of the dialogue and communication and community involvement that you have is a value as well, isn't it? It's a different kind of skill.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get at here is that, in one sense, at the moment, you're, for all sorts of reasons to do with medication and health, you're not in a job that pays you money.
No.
And yet your value to the community engagement that you now have is giving to the community in no uncertain terms, in a different way to the way other people would. But we live in a world that seems to give value to some skills stroke roles differently to others. So, for example, a doctor would be paid more than a nurse on the whole, or a teacher more than a teaching assistant, or whatever. And we might have different thoughts on the value of a metal worker, or a painter, or a textile worker, and seamstress. You could go on. I think you can probably see what I mean.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we get that right. I'm going to read. I didn't use any official scriptures in the last one, actually, although we talked about a few from in a sense of a distance without reading them out. I'm going to read a very short section. This comes from Book of Exodus, and God talking to Moses, and it's just 11 verses. So I'm going to read them out. I expect we can put them on the screen, can't we? The Lord said to Moses, "Take note that I have specially chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, making him skillful and ingenious, expert in craft, and a master of design, whether in gold, silver, copper, or cutting precious stones for setting, or carving wood for workmanship of every kind. Further, I have appointed Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, to be his assistant, and I have endowed every skilled craftsman with the skill which he has. They are to make everything that I have commanded you: the tent of meeting, the ark of the testimony, the cover over it, and all the furnishings of the tent, the table and its vessels, the pure lampstand and all its fittings, the altar of incense, the altar of whole offering and all its vessels, the basin and its stand, the stitched vestments, That is the sacred vestments for Aaron the priest, and the vestments for his sons when they minister as priests, the anointing oil, and the fragrant incense for the holy place. They are to carry it all out as I commanded you. Now, well, first of all, what do you think of that great long list of things there and what you've just heard? Any thoughts?
Is it, to summarise, there's one guy called, what's his name?
Bezalel.
Bezalel, who has so many different skills doing a lot of practical things. And in those times, the range of skills are different from like the modern our times, because my skills translate to computing.
Right, they do.
Like, one thought is, what would Bezalel be up to if he was alive today?
Good question.
Because your skills are formed by your environment. Like I was saying, I was led into computing.
Well, it said in this passage, this is interesting, and I wonder if he was in today's world, whether the process would have been the same, but the skill base might or might not have been different. I mean, let's face it, we still need people who make garments, and we still need people who work in metals, and we still need people who produce oils, and so on. So we still need some of those, but obviously the way in which we make them is different. And I think the point here was there was a little line in that where it says, I have filled him, that's the God, the Lord, I have filled him with the Spirit of God, making him skillful and ingenious, like expert in every craft. It's one of the relatively few occasions in the Old Testament where a particular person has been filled with the Spirit of God.
Yeah.
They weren't all filled with the Spirit of God. Now, whether or not you or I feel filled with the Spirit of God for what we do, your question was, what would happen to Bezalel? Well, I think that might depend on what God filled him with and what expert gifting he gave him.
A question about this is, our skills, we can't really take credit for our own skills because they're just given to us. Like, I've always thought, say at school I'm good at maths,
Yeah.
but I didn't do anything
No, you didn't, to get that skill.
to get that skill. So,
No.
so that's the
You were
same for any skill.
Born with it, in a sense.
Yeah, I've sort of leaned into it.
But then
and
the computing you didn't have any knowledge of, but you
No.
were led into. Now, you
Yeah.
could say it was a particular person that led you into it, or group of people.
Yeah.
But why? Why like that? I ended up teaching for the simple reason that I sat next to my sister and helped her with some maths one night because I was the older brother.
Yeah.
And somebody said, who was watching on, "You're good at that,"
Yeah.
and it encouraged me to go on and be a teacher.
Yeah.
Was that one encouragement? But then, why did that person end up in that room at that time saying that to me? You could analyse it in more depth, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Was I called to that? Was it God? Was it just me? Was it that person? We all have skills, don't we? And these are particular practical skills, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that's why I was partly saying to you, well, you've got a skill at all this, but actually you've got a skill at saying the right thing at the right time, in the right place.
Yeah. There's different parts to that. There's having the skill in the first place. Maybe it's God-given.
Yeah.
So we don't have control over that. But what we do have control is cultivating the skill, practicing, getting better at
Absolutely.
that, and then also what you do with that skill.
Yeah.
Do you help other people?
Exactly.
So we do have autonomy that feeds into the whole situation.
Yeah, we're called to work with what God's given us.
Yeah,
It's the simple way of putting it theologically.
Yeah.
That you might be given a skill, but you don't have to use it, do you? You could turn around to say tomorrow, I'm not going to do this anymore, even though I'm brilliant at it.
Yeah.
But actually that means you automatically stop me from benefiting from you videoing this, for example.
Yeah.
But you could take that to any degree, couldn't you? And we don't always use these things well. I mean, he was filled with the Spirit of God, but I wonder if he stayed filled with the Spirit of God, or whether he went off the rails at any time or didn't do it as well because he was human. He wasn't just almost God in the way he did it. He was given a gift but he did have to go and train up a Holiab, or whatever his name was, and all these other craftsmen to do all the things they did. He almost became a bit of a manager, would be the right word. He managed a group of people to do what they were called to do, to make all these different things. And I wonder if we sometimes miss what we're called to do, but also whether we need to say to God, I need a bit more here. I need a bit more of you, because I'm not quite sure how to do this. You've given me this gift, but it's all a bit uncertain. Comes back to you and your comments a week or two back on self-doubt.
Yeah, I've got an interesting thing that happened to me in the last couple of years.
Go on in, throw it in.
Like, I have this thing that I have video equipment, but I wasn't using it. And then I just think it's quite, I don't know if serendipity or the word, things fall into place. Like, you ring me up and say, can we film a podcast? And I have the podcast. And then later on, more recently, within a week of getting all the camera equipment, I get asked to do a pantomime.
Yeah, you did.
So, because I could be sat with all this video equipment and not be using it, but I like it how I'm using it. That makes me happy.
Well, maybe you need to say, what next? What can I add to this portfolio of action?
Yeah, go to
and
the
can
pub.
I cope?
Go to the pub.
Maybe what you mean? Take all the tripods and camera gear. I can just see it.
People wouldn't like that.
That might not be so good. No. I think we've probably said enough on that for now.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we take it a bit further next time, but I really wanted to encourage people in this, and you and me, that we all got skills and they're all valued, and God values them in every single person, but sometimes it's difficult to identify what it is that we've been given as a gift, or we've got one gift, like you were good at maths and then you became better at computing, or not so much better, but that became an interest, and you worked into that. But it could be 5 years' time, what next, or something, that it may not be the whole panoply of Peter's giftings or use. And so we want people to think about that and ponder what their own might be and talk to other people about it. So anything else to add? Otherwise, I think I'm going to round this one off.
I appreciate what you're saying about me saying the right thing at the right time.
Well, most of the time. Except when he says things that we mentioned last time, like, but I do like eating burgers in the middle of a discussion about good nutrition, but anyway, and good ethics. But, yeah, by the by. Okay, see you next time.
Cheers, bye.